Hello, LA232. As I mentioned in class on Wednesday, I'd like to create a video showing you how I created a base map using Sketchup, the add location tool, and layout. So you'll need to have Sketchup open and be able to find this tool. If it's not on your toolbar, go to your tool palettes and open up the Google tool set. And it also lives somewhere else. Let's see. So also underneath File, Geolocation, and Add Location, they'll all bring up the same dialog, which is this, and you should be able to resize it. Now this is where I last was, but just to start, if you type in the location or the city, it's way closer in the wrong spot, but I'll zoom out. Pretty intuitive how to navigate this particular site, and of course this works for any site. Is down here. Now this white square is telling you the maximum extents that can be imported into SketchUp at any given time. So where is the lines site? Now you may already have this going for your studio, but really good to know for future reference. Now also a good idea, I like to bring in a little bit more than what you need because it's pretty easy to crop it down, and we can make a couple maps with one shot here. So that looks good. Once you get close, click on select region and do just that. So once I hit grab, this will be brought into SketchUp, and sometimes this happens where for some reason it just doesn't get the imagery. If that happens to you, just do an undo and try it again. It's an internet thing. There we go. So it's brought into SketchUp, it's scaled, and it's geolocated. So we can draw a way. But we want to put this into a format like a layout type program, Illustrator or Layout. So in SketchUp, it's really easy. First thing you should do is save it. So let's see. We'll just name it that. Doesn't matter what the view is because we can change it later. But when it first goes into layout, it will save the same view. And just for the heck of it here, whoops, did not mean to do that. I'll draw a couple little shapes here. So I'll resave this and then go to File, Send to Layout. So you're first presented with a dialog here to choose the paper size. I'll just go with letter landscape, but I'll show you where you can change this. So if you can't find what you want, just go ahead and set it up. Let's make this the same size. And if you go to File and then Document Setup, here is where we can change the paper size. So just select paper, and for example, if we want this to be 36 inch by 24, which is a very common board size, I just need to tab. You might need to click OK or apply if you're on Windows, but on the Mac you just hit tab and it sets it up. Let's get rid of these windows. So there we go. I can navigate just like I can in SketchUp, scrolling in and out zooms. Pressing your middle wheel button will pan, except we're only really working in a two-dimension environment. We can't orbit around this piece of paper. We've got one entity in here, which happens to be a referenced SketchUp model. You can also put in text. So here's my text block. It's very small at first, but that's all right. You just need to open up your text dialog or your font dialog. Windows users, try Control T. Mac users, you can do Command T, and that should bring up this guy. And let's change that to 64. Oops. Maybe I need to select it first. So I'm just grabbing the select tool, click. There we go. So now I can change it however I like. And you can also import images simply just by dragging and dropping, or I'm sure over here there's an insert. Yeah, so it's just a layout program. You can cut and paste Word documents. It's pretty straightforward to move things around. If you want to make a copy, just like you can in SketchUp, you hold down the correct modifier key and create the move. We've got shapes here. So those are pretty boring shapes. Let me select those, go to my shape style, and I'll change the fill to something a little bit more exciting. But what I wanted to show you here is as you're moving, you've kind of got the same inferencing that you can do in Sketchup. So if I just touch this bottom corner and then let it sit for a second, and then it's not doing it. Weird. Well, oh, there it was. Yeah, you'll get all kinds of dashed inference lines telling you when you are directly below something or in the center of something. Maybe not the center. There's a reference from the center there, but you get the idea. Let's get rid of those, get rid of that, and get rid of that, because we need to set this up in a scaled mode. So you can't scale a perspective. Also, if it's not scaled, when you drag the window that contains that model, it resizes. So notice as I'm dragging this, the window is resizing. I can move this. This little guy in the middle here, if you click on the anchor, it drags the anchor. If you click and drag on this handle here, it rotates. So that's all that one does. But if we want this to be a top-down view, can we right-click? Yeah, we can. Yeah, so just go ahead and right-click on it. Go to Standard Views and select Top. And then right-click again and turn off Perspective. So those are the two requirements to be able to apply a certain scale. But also notice here, oh, actually, I was about to show you how it doesn't resize. It's doing that because we have not yet applied a scale. So if you drag a corner, it still resizes the SketchUp model. But do this. Click on Window, go to SketchUp Model, and right here our standard view is on ortho, which basically means not perspective. And custom, this is where your scale will be. So if we set this to 1 inch equals 30 feet, that will update. Now if I drag this corner or that side, it's not resizing our image because it's staying at 1 inch equals 30 feet. So that's actually pretty close to where we want to be. You can either just drag the bounding box and then move the whole thing to get it where you want it to be. Or if you enter what's called navigation mode, SketchUp navigation mode, and you can do that by double-clicking, double-click, and then right-click, and then select Camera Tools and Pan. So another way we can just move around. So now we're moving the view within this layout box. So there's our site, or the site I believe a lot of you are working with. When you are done editing, you can right-click. I guess you can't. I was looking for exit, but what you'll probably need to do is grab the select tool and just click outside of that box, and it should bump you out of that edit mode. Now, keep an eye on your scale. Sometimes it gets a little goofy. Mine changed to something I didn't want, so I'll set that back to 1 inch equals 30 feet, and I think that updated. So there you go. That's if we were to plot this off and you took a ruler to it, 1 inch would be equal to 30 feet. If we wanted to create a little graphic scale, you can use these drawing tools up here. So I'll click on the rectangle one, and it's just like SketchUp. You can enter visually by clicking, or you can type numerically and hit enter. So I'll just click to start, and then I'll type 1 inch, comma, 0.15 inch. Now keep an eye, whoops, down here. Now by moving my mouse, I just totally screwed that up, but you don't need to click down here, but that's where you can see where you are typing. So I got to do that again. 1 inch, comma, 1 inch, comma, 0.15 inches, and hit enter. And where did it go? Who knows? Let's try that again. Tool, click to start, 1 inch, comma, 0.15 inch, enter. There we go. See, it's right there. Very tiny, but I'll scroll and zoom in. Let's select this, go back to shape style, and I'll turn on the fill, make it something, why not orange? And I'll turn off the stroke by hitting that button. So this is where this inferencing comes in handy. It's a little bit different than SketchUp, but it should be close enough to where you can wrap your head around it. If you grab the move tool, which incidentally is also the select tool. The select and move are the same thing in layout. Hold down the correct modifier, which you can find by looking down here, to create a copy, and then just drag a copy. And notice how I can snap to that corner with the visual feedback. So there we go. I start on a graphic scale. I will click here to add a text block. Scale 1 inch equals 30 feet. Now if you want to make this bigger, you can't scale the text, I don't think. You can scale the box that contains the text. Nope, that didn't do it either. Just trying a couple modifiers here. Nope. You can only change the text size with your default font editor. So again, Command T or Control T. There we go. So scroll to zoom out. I'll move this down here. Whoops. There we go. So we've got a scaled map that we could print off, and it would be to scale. I'd like to show you really quickly pages. So if we go to Window and then Pages, so we've only got one in here, but you can have as many as you'd like. I'll make a copy by clicking this button. So there we go. There's a copy. They look the same, or nothing is changing over here, but because they're identical. On this one, I'm going to change the scale of this from 1 inch equals 30 to something else. So I'll go back to Sketchup model, make sure view is selected, and hit 1 inch equals 100 feet. So I can resize this, or just keep them like they are. But this is now at 1 inch equals 100 feet. Of course, this won't change automatically, but that's an easy fix. There we go. Now I've got a document that you can save as a PDF that's got 2 useful scales. Really good starting point to plot off and take to your desk and get out the tracing paper. So one thing you'll notice here, I've still got these shapes in this file. If I go back to SketchUp, now here's what's kind of neat about this is any edits we do to the SketchUp model will automatically be updated in the other mode there. So really quickly here, I'm going to change this to an X-ray mode, and maybe we want to propose an amphitheater. So this is going to be the quickest amphitheater ever, but I'll just do it by drawing a shape. The quickest and most boring amphitheater ever. And you know what, I'll just for the sake of comparison, I'll place 3D text because I want you to know the difference between 3D text as a SketchUp model and 3D text as an element in layout. So this is all set up. I will save this file. And when you go back to layout, it won't update right away. It will if you close and reopen this file, but what you'll need to do is right click on your SketchUp model and select Update Reference. So it'll think for a moment. Notice the scale doesn't change, nothing changes except the changes we made. Will it also change on the other page? Let's find out. It did. Excellent. So there you go. There is layout, and I'll show you in another video how we can swap out the imagery, and you'll see in layout that that does update. Now let's go ahead and save this. There you go.